There is a map in Japan that shows you where people were unalived, accidentally, intentionally, or unalived themselves. It shows you where bodies were left to rot, and it shows you places where people have experienced psychological problems in or around the area, and it also shows you where people have had out-of-body, ghostly experiences. I will show you some of these places today. We kind of got permission from Kansai Clean Service from their YouTube channel to use some of their videos for the clips. I highly recommend go and check out their videos first so you can see what kind of places I'm talking about. But we will show a few clips and go through it. And also I will show around the map, which shows you how to find where these places are located and why this map is needed in Japan. There is a reason for this morbid map to be in the public domain in Japan. It's not just a spreadsheet for serial killers. This information is useful for the Japanese public and it's culturally significant. And we'll find out a little bit later on in this video why that is. So thank you for joining. Please stick around and enjoy today's video. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me, you lovely bunch of people. And I actually have an update. Instead of stealing copyright images off the internet, which I obviously didn't do, now I have my own designed jackalope logo. It was designed by Tatiana Rezanenko. I'm very sorry if I got your name wrong, but her name is Tanya on Fiverr. And if you want someone to help with the design, gothic, nice art style, go and see if you can find her on the app. The jackalope is a cryptid. It's obviously based on a rabbit with horns, and you never know, if you go down a rabbit hole like we do on the internet every day, you might stumble across a jackalope. I like my cryptids, I like my mythical creatures, and the suit because, well, I'm English. Before we look around Oshima Teru and see everything on the map, we need to check out the Japanese concept of jikobukken. Jikobukken. I apologize to any Japanese listeners if I haven't pronounced that correctly, but it translates as ghosts and stigmatized properties. I will go through what makes a property in Japan become stigmatized, but first I want to say that there is viewer discretion advice. There is a trigger warning in here. This video is meant to be educational, as this is what Japanese people really do and believe, and it's part of their culture, and everything that we see is what they actually experience and believe. Believe it or not, this video is actually educational. It did help me and my partner when we were moving house. It did help us choose where we're going to live. But some of the information in this video might be a bit disturbing or harmful. And if you are having any struggles with self-harm or depression, I will put a link in my description below, which takes you through to a YouTube page that has links for every service in your country that provide help if you need it. So if you're still here, thank you, and I assume you're okay with the idea that we're all going to die. The universe will be devoured by entropy, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves along the way. So with that said, let's get into stigmatized properties. There are several reasons that a property in Japan would become stigmatized, and some of the more morbid ones include murder, self-murder, or what they would call a lonely death. They call it a kodokushi, which is where someone died of natural causes, but they weren't found for a very long time and their bodies were just left to rot in the apartment. Not all deaths count towards a stigmatized property. If someone died in their apartment surrounded by family and friends and everything was loving when they went, then the property is fine. But it's more about going in a manner that is not suited to human, in a way that makes people uncomfortable, or it's like an unfinished, or the soul is not happy when it goes. It only becomes stigmatized when there's a darker element to the death, when the soul is not happy, when it doesn't get to move on in the correct manner. This idea of the vengeful spirit is what makes Japanese movies so scary, renowned throughout the world for being the most haunting movies. They always take place in ordinary people's lives. It gives the viewer the idea that it could happen to them. And watching Japanese anime, TV, movies, and living in Tokyo, I can see how the Japanese would be so scared, because when you watch movies, they are in real places around Tokyo. I've seen my own area be crushed by Godzilla. It's crazy. Shinto is the main religious or spiritual belief in Japan, and in Shinto, they believe that the soul isn't something that passes on to the next existence. They believe that everything has a soul. So not just living things, but everything has a soul. So when there's a vengeful spirit that won't pass on, it might attach to something else. In Western culture, I mean they, us, the West, believe that the soul is attached to the body. So that's why graveyards are so scary, because there's bodies everywhere. There could be ghosts, vengeful spirits holding on to the body. But in Japan, their belief isn't that it's attached to the body. Their belief is that every single thing has a soul. Items have a soul, animals have a soul, humans have a soul, and that when that item is gone, then so is its soul. The soul just passes into existence. It just exists everywhere with everything. But they also believe that with vengeful spirits, that these souls can be corrupted. And if there's murder or an unfinished business, that's when everyday items, everyday objects can become haunted. And that's brought us some of the scariest Japanese horror that we know of. In Shinto belief, they believe if someone dies in a catastrophe, then their vengeful spirit will cause catastrophes in the real life. Tornadoes, tsunamis, these big events, not targeting specific people. But if someone dies from a more traumatic, human-related death, then their vengeful spirit will target and torment individuals. They will stick in an area and torment anyone that goes there, or they will haunt an object and destroy the lives of someone who uses it. Now, this idea and belief does lead to some amazing Japanese horror movies, but for many people living here, it's no joke. It's something they live and die by. I really enjoy the idea that every single thing in existence has a soul and feelings and potential to be something great, so you should respect and love and treat everything with kindness. But on the flip side of that, I don't want to be killed by a vengeful chair or like a pencil that was used by some ghost to come back to kill me. I don't want everything to be a potential weapon of hell. But death inside isn't the only thing that makes something stigmatized. It can also be next to a funeral parlor, a crematorium, or a graveyard. They do have them here, despite not believing that the spirits are there. They pile them together and put sticks inside, like this. Or it could be a dangerous gang or anti-social group use the property or own the property. It could also just be that there's superstition around it. For example, the number of the apartment. In West, we say 13 is the unlucky number. In Japan, they say that 4th or 9th floors have negative connotations. 4 can be pronounced as shi in Japanese, which is the same pronunciation that they have for death. Or 9 is pronounced ku, which I think is similar to pain or harmful or tough or difficult. So if someone died in the 4th floor of your apartment, you're never selling that place. So if you're looking to buy or rent a property in Japan and you find one and it looks like an amazing deal, beautiful price, the place is brand spanking new, just remember there might be a reason for it having such a low price. Many people in Japan won't want to live in one of these stigmatized properties because they believe it's scary, ghostly, dirty, and they just won't live there. So not only are they hard to clean, but they're very hard to sell. Do a lot of people ask about?
みんな聞くんですかね。なんか何かとか結構聞きます。あと私たちも言わないといけないです。Yeah, she said everyone asks, and
Really?
they have the responsibility to tell you as well.
Yeah. That's very
前の所有
interesting.
者さんが例えば亡くなったら言わなきゃいけないんですけど、前の方が例えば事故とか自殺だったら言わなくてもいい。おお、前だけ。前だけ。So they're only obliged to tell you if the owner before or the renter before something happened to them.
Yeah.
But the one before that.
Yeah.
Before
They
the
don't have
previous
to.
one, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Even if they committed suicide. グって言って書いて。そうなんですか。うちのお母さん韓国なんだけど、でも怖がってます。She said that most of their clients that are doctors or into medical field,
Yeah.
doesn't care about like that, like psychological,
the sciences,
ghosts or anything. They would prefer those places instead.
They prefer them?
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper?
It's cheaper, and they work in a hospital or medical field.
Oh, they're around it. So the estate agent is supposed to tell the next possible tenant if something happened to the previous person living there. For example, if they were murdered, a lonely death and weren't discovered for a long time, or if they committed self-death. But what some of the less trustworthy estate agents would do is they would get their friend or family member or even colleague sometimes to move into the apartment after they've cleaned it up and live there for a few months and then move out. Or sometimes they even hired actors to go and live there and then say that they are just normal people. So they can tell the next possible tenants, oh no, nothing happened to the previous person, everything's fine. But what they don't tell you is that before John lived there for 3 months, Steve was rotting away in his bed for 20 days. And whilst this highly immoral act is still not illegal, many of the bigger estate agents got together and said that they would need to cut this out. And what some of the bigger and more trustworthy estate agents have done is they have all come together and made a consensus that for the previous 10 years or the last 3 tenants that lived there, they will tell prospective tenants about. Now, this doesn't make it completely impossible to fake it and just hire 3 people or just wait 10 years, but it makes it more difficult for those untrustworthy estate agents. But on the other hand, if they don't tell the tenant about something that happened there, and then after the tenant moves in, they find out or something happens where they know that it's a stigmatized property, they can actually sue the estate agent for damages. And some of the reasons can be, for example, residual odors or even psychological problems that have happened, which is code word for haunting. But just remember, if you're buying a house in any country or renting an apartment and everything is a bit old, nothing's new, but they've got brand new spanking flooring, just ask yourself why, okay? There is an estate agent called Sumo who have come up with a unique and interesting way of trying to sell one of these stigmatized properties where someone potentially violently died. The following is what they wrote for one of their units, and I love it.
Popular stigmatized property. Low initial cost near Tokyo Disneyland. Private bath and toilet. It's a stigmatized property, which means low initial cost. You'll be living alone, but you'll never really feel like it. This room is perfect for lonely single.
If that wasn't enough, it also came with a cute little picture of a ghost. So if you're lonely, single, living in Japan, why not buy one of our stigmatized properties and you can shack up with a ghost forever? But what if your estate agent doesn't tell you about the property being stigmatized? Well, that's where Oshima comes in. A few weeks ago, there was an emergency outside my apartment, and after a few days, my partner decided to check it out, see if there was any information. And that's where I saw the Oshima map for the first time, and it was shocking. You could explore the whole of Tokyo, the whole of Japan, everywhere, and you could see all these little fire icons where you click on and it will show you what happened at that property. As you can see, there is fire everywhere, and each bit of fire represents one stigmatized property listed on here. So this is the Oshima Land map. As you can see here, it says Oshima Land, but this is just the English version. The Japanese original is Oshima Teru. Okay, when you zoom in, as you can see, it brings up more fire, more properties. Every time you zoom in, it refreshes. So let's zoom in somewhere. Let's go right in the middle of Tokyo somewhere. Not as many as I thought there would be, to be honest. Okay, let's see what happens when you click on the flame. Oh. Okay. When you look at it like that, and the flames are everywhere, there is one right at the Godzilla head. By jumping off Godzilla head. Okay, that's pretty cool. Well, not cool, like, Yeah, whatever. By jumping off the roof, or by jumping off the mall. Young woman by jumping from rooftops. By jumping. Got into a fight and was beaten to death. By jumping. Body found in the woman's restroom. Woman found in cardiac arrest in a bathroom later dies. By hanging. A woman's body found in the former hotel. Already, we've looked at 4 or 5 and most of them are suicide. Okay, so we've had a little look at some shopping main area. Let's try and find a more, is it urban, suburban, suburban, where people live. Let's try and find where people live. Second floor, west corner room, psychologically defective property. It doesn't mean someone died there, doesn't mean there's been crime or anything there, but it means people have reported psychological things around that building. Maybe they think it's haunted, maybe there was a crazy person, people call them crazy, living there. It's called stigmatized property for a reason, not just people died in property. It's also the feel of the property. If they think something's happened, or if when they go there it gives people psychological issues that they can't attribute to anything else. Let's see, what's this one? Uh-oh, that's a bit short. Strangle. I wonder, do they get all their information? They can't get their information from police. It must just be local news and national news. Looking, maybe they go browsing obituaries and they just input the data they get. These people must be very busy. Alright, this is a bit more residential. This is where people live. Let's see what it says. Room 101. Death alone. But room 101? Isn't that where they drop things that can never be found again? Jeez. Okay. Closest to where I live is this one, which says freeze to death. Just freeze to death. But the reason I wanted to look here is because this is an area where lots of families live, also lots of elderly people. There's lots of big mansions mixed with lots of houses, family houses. So the details around here actually, okay, second floor room, psychologically defective. No, I assume that means someone in the apartment has psychological issues, or maybe someone moved in the apartment and experienced psychological issues. So people would look at this if they're looking to live in the area, and if they see that their neighbor, if the property they're looking at, and think, I'm not going to risk it. What if I move there and then I start to feel psychologically defective? Or what if people around there feel like this? It's too dangerous for them to risk it. People will genuinely avoid this area because of what it says on this map. This map is not only for Japan. The majority of things are in Asia. Of course, it's where the map originates, but the people of Oshima Teru, or in English, Oshima Land, are broadening their horizons and reaching out, and I really don't know how they have the time to log all this. I think you should check out this map. It's very interesting. They are worldwide, so check around your area, but Japan is where you will find most of your results. I was enjoying it. It was a game. It was addictive. And then kind of reality hit and you realize that you're just looking at dead people. And it is kind of sad. 69. It is a bit unsettling. But if you do decide to go and have a look at this, just remember that it's not there just for people like me and you who have a bit of a morbid curiosity. It does serve a purpose, and it helps people choose an area to live in. It helps people choose a house or where to avoid, and it's actually useful, especially if you have the cultural belief that they do in Japan about properties and spirits and ghosts and the stigmatized subject. So check it out by all means. It's very interesting. Enjoy yourself. Whatever you do, enjoy yourself. Don't take the piss. Life is all fun and games, so have a laugh, enjoy yourself. But Let's try to be a bit respectful. It's just so easy to find out information. You have the address. You can just Google what happened there and find news articles and everything. It's like a fun game trying to look around, see what's the most disturbing thing you can find. But like I said before, it does have a use. It is used by Japanese people when they are choosing a property. And if you find anything interesting on there, please do share the location in the comments below. Maybe we can all have a look, have a community discussion about it, what we think happened. Now, I did do a long video of this, but there's no way I can show some of the things I found on there on YouTube. So I'll upload to Patreon or something. Follow me on Twitter to keep updated, and I'll let you know when that drops. Please like and subscribe. It would really help me a lot. It takes a lot of time and effort to make these videos. Hey, plus it's free, so if you don't like it later, just unsubscribe. If you're still watching, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video today. Please go and check out Kansai Clean Service channel on YouTube. They have fantastic videos in English, and I'm really grateful that they let me use some of their clips. And there's far more stories and interesting revelations to find watching their videos, so please go watch, subscribe, and like their videos. You never know, some of the properties I looked at today could have been some of their videos. And remember, whether it's rainbows and unicorns or browsing a map of death, there's always something to smile about.